I never really thought about life or death growing up or as a young adult, um, only because thinking about death was terrifying. It was, um, it's almost as if I believed somewhere unconsciously that if I talked or thought about death, that it was like attracting myself to it. So I didn't even acknowledge death, despite the fact that I had tons of fear of it, until I made the decision to commit suicide. And that decision was made because death was the only route for me to feel relief from the depression, the darkness, the unrelenting obsessiveness, and really the torturous life I was living up to that point. So death to me at that time was so relieving. So, and even then, I never thought about what that was. It just was an end for me because I couldn't find an alternative, no matter what. No matter what. Um, Even though I was getting help and seeing therapists and whatnot. So I finally really looked into what death was when I was preparing to die, and doing it in a way that was heartfelt versus I'm gonna die, feel sorry for myself, oh, life was so terrible. That's so self-centered, so selfish, and also very insincere when you're that way. I know for me, in the process of preparing to die, I had to honestly and open-mindedly consider what is death, and what does that mean, and what might happen, and is it going to be painful? Most people don't think about this until they're in the throes of dying, or death is right there. Whether you get diagnosed with cancer that is not survivable. So this conversation is actually really common with the clients I work with, because it made such an impact on me that I feel that it's a very relevant conversation for people who suffer with obsessive compulsive disorders, depression, suicidal depression, eating disorders, disordered eating, and anything around addiction behavior. One of the things that became obvious to me was that really death didn't exist. It was really a cessation of life. I was losing life. That my life was going to end versus, two different things, life or death. Again, I think this came to me in that out-of-body experience, so this wasn't something that I inherently knew. It's just something I became aware of. And I don't even know if it's true, but it feels good. It feels right to me. And it's changed how I live. So since the moment I became aware of it, there is no death. There is just cessation of life. You either have more life or you have less life. And what that awareness did for me is it forced me to forget death, but look at life and what that is. What does it mean to be alive, and what is life? Yet another thing most people don't even think about, because they're so engaged with their environment, they lose touch with life itself. And so when preparing to die, I had to really look at the life I was ending and what it meant and what did I get out of it. And I had to question, how did it end up being so full of torment when it didn't start that way? What is life? And for it to come to an end, or for life to diminish into where you're no longer experiencing it, you really have to consider what the point is. And for me, I realized that life ultimately wasn't even mine. I think that was one of the biggest illusions I had to overcome, was that the life I was experiencing was the life that the body was giving me. And this concept of me experiencing it was a gift. It wasn't actually mine. It wasn't my experience. The body was providing me a conduit, a vessel, or a locus in the mind to witness. And so everything I was witnessing truthfully was the body's ability to witness. And it was the environment in this earth and the infinite potential of all creation of that earth, which included this body. And so if I were to murder the body, I'm not really ending suffering. I'm just ending the perceptions of what life was in my mind. Because if you broke it down to the simplicity of the locus in the mind that I am aware I'm witnessing, that is so beautiful and so pure. There's nothing wrong with that. What brought me to wanting to die was the perception of life that I was living in. It's just something to contemplate. Maybe your perception of life is the problem. It isn't life itself. Life itself is beautiful and pure and unconditional, and it's a gift. You can't even claim it. I cannot claim this voice, this conversation. I cannot even claim this identity as Robin. That's just, again, a perception of that differentiates me from other people. But when you look at the life I'm witnessing, what's the difference between me being a witness of life and you being a witness of life? There is no difference. We're both witnessing what's going on and really don't have a whole lot of ownership in it. We don't. It's spontaneously happening. We were born, here we are. I think the problem arises when we claim the life as our own, and we and I don't think this is conscious because you're a baby and you're growing up and it just evolves to what it is. But when we are taught that this witness of life is me, it's mine, that we are not it's not me that is the source of this life. There is a body and there is a me that is witnessing it. So there is a relationship that you have with the body. Your body isn't you. The life it provides you isn't yours. It's the life's. You are the witness. So that was something that I became aware of. There is a very clear separation. And it was very thin, like a veil, a very thin veil of separation between me as the witness and the separate entity of the body that is gifting me consciousness. It is not my consciousness. It is the body's. That separation, I think, is extremely important in recovery. Because what it does is it separates you from other people's perception of the body, of who you are. It's almost like, oh, I became aware that all this stuff is an illusion. It's not even real. That the only thing that is tangibly real is the reality that I am witnessing a conscious awareness of life. I don't know if this is making any sense. So really think about this. Contemplate that. If all you need from the body is conscious awareness, that locus in the mind of witnessing. Clearly we're witnessing through fingers, through eyes, through voice, through auditory. That's still not mine. It's the body's. So that relationship I have with the body. When you become the body, or you become or identify as life, as the body, all of a sudden now you're relating with the environment. And I think that's where a discussion needs to be. Because once you are autonomous in your identity as a body, you now have to be very controlling of your environment, partly because you're attaching life to the environment versus attaching life to the body. Again, this is something that came clear as day to me in the process of preparing to commit suicide, that I was literally going to be committing suicide and murdering a body that was harmless, that was innocent, that had no issues whatsoever. The life I was provided was beautiful and pure and infinite, right? In terms of potential. The problem was the perception of my environment that I had attached life to and was trying to manipulate and control through hours of exercise, obsessive compulsive dieting, researching nutrition and metabolism and all of that, the content of controlling an environment that in reality we don't need to be doing that. The body does it for us. The body requires very little from us. Oh, I gotta go pee. You relieve yourself going to the bathroom. I'm tired. You go to bed. I'm hungry. I need something salty. You know, it tells you what to do. You just, you drink water. It doesn't really take much to manage it, you know, and all you get is this space of witness, this space of glory to witness this planet, which is hard to describe how beautiful it is when you see how unique and all of the life that does exist in so many different forms. Their trees are existing in a life. They have access to witnessing life no different than I do. They're witnessing a tree life, but this connects you to everything. When you really recognize you are not the source of your life. You are a witness, and it is all a gift to you. And to believe a system that is created out there that doesn't necessarily exist. It only exists if you believe it. To believe a system that says you're not worthy of life and freedom if your body doesn't conform to a specific look. That is like being a slave. Your whole life is now a slave to doing that concept because you believe life is out there and it's not yours. For some people, they have to die. They have to actually witness the separation from the body to realize, oh, that was life. And it was a gift to me. Anyways, there's my message for today and what I'm trying to actually write about. I have a feeling this chapter is just going to be, I don't even know, but I'm going to put it on paper. And I'm hoping this whole chapter will be an ebook sooner than later. We'll see. So, all right, take care.